I am Pastor Dorin McIntyre. Many people call me Pastor Mac, and I appreciate this opportunity. I am the pastor of Mount Olivet Missionary Baptist Church in the Austin community, also the 25th District faith-based leader. I am grateful. I am thankful. It is hard not to get excited when you love what you do. It is so hard not to get excited when you love what you do. And when you think about what is your strength and you began to kind of unpack that whole thought, the first thing that comes to mind of what Jesus was teaching about in Luke, the 6th chapter. And he went out and he chose the disciples and he began to organize them and bring them into a space. And somewhere around that 16th verse, it began to name them all. And it ended with saying, and one will be a traitor. I want to kind of get your mind right there for a moment because I want you to realize right up front that in organizing and getting this work done and understanding your strengths, that not everyone that comes along with you is going to stay for the entire ride. They're going to fall off the wagon. They're going to go a different way. The truth is going to come out in people as you go. However, in this part of my segment, I want to share with you some practical ideas and encourage you to go forth in the work. Now, not doing some of these things or a version of them thereof will cause further deterioration in our communities, thus losing our strength. When you think about, we never come before anyone trying to say that we're the foregoing authority on this, that we know everything that needs to happen. It is foolproof. And if you do these things within a few days, everything will be organized. No, this takes hard work, determination. It takes a lot of pain. It takes, I can't even begin to tell you the discomfort that it may bring. I want to be real right up front, right? I want you to understand. There's a statement that I use all the time is, get comfortable being uncomfortable. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Suppose you were a doctor. Suppose you were a doctor and there was a disease everyone had. And even though their symptoms were different, everyone caught the disease, they died, and everyone had this kind of same disease, although they came out with their symptoms or the way it responded to them or in them differently. Let's also say that you're a skilled physician and you came up with a cure. What would you say about the doctor who knew everybody else was dying without a solution and wouldn't share the solution he had? What would you say about someone like that? That everyone around him was dying. He had the solution, he had a cure, but he didn't share that with anyone else. If we really want to categorize this correctly and imply something here, that disease can be categorized as the rampant violence in our communities. And also the cure, if I can just be very frank, is love. Love covers a multitude of sin. It conquers all, right? So the Bible says that the whole world is dead in trespass and in sin. I was asked one time, well, what do you think the problem is? And I have to go back to say that it's rooted in sin. It's rooted in sin. If we have met Jesus, if we say we've met Jesus, right, we have found the cure. We have it. Now my challenge today is, how dare we keep the cure to ourselves? How dare we go about our regular activity on our way to what we would say is heaven, yet we watch others die in their sin and drowning in disparity, and the violence continues? How dare we say that we are believers and we don't share the gospel and practical information as a priority? Love creates opportunity. Always, I mention this, love creates opportunity. We should love people not only because we know them, but we should love them first as a choice. And because we choose to love them, we get to know them. Let me say that again. We should love them as a choice, choose to love them, And then because we have chosen to love them, we get to know them because we love them. You know, oftentimes people don't love you until they get to know you. I've been married for many years, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I fell in love with my wife the first day I saw her. I didn't know her. I thank God she got to know me. Because if she hadn't, then where would I be at this point as far as my relationship? And that's what your strengths are all about. It's about building certain things up and not recognizing yourself as the authority, but recognizing who the authority is. So I want to use a word, and I want to use it as an acronym, and it's the word strength. And as they put that slide up, I want to show you how this word strength can be utilized as an acronym to help us to remember what it is that we're doing. I want to encourage our hearts today to help us to close the gap of identifying what our strengths are. Many people don't know what their strengths are, and they kind of go through life trying to figure it out, and they struggling. And Pastor Epstein talked a lot about, man, if we just get into the flow of Christ, he'll reveal our strengths. He'll reveal our abilities. He'll show us what we need to do. But oftentimes we get caught in wanting to know the whole story before we actually get into the book. So we have to learn that as we walk in this walk and we are trying to identify our strength, we need to take notice of what Matthew 6:33 says. Matthew 6:33 gives us great information. Let me start you with this first letter of the acronym, and it is seek. And that's exactly how Matthew 6:33 started. If we advance the slide here and look at this word seek, seek. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these other things will be added unto you, right? So the first letter in our flow today is seek. Seeking God first opens up the door to everything else that we would do and everything else that we share in this world. Seeking him first. Everything we do will work out if our focus and our priorities are in line with his will. Everything we do will work out if we focus our priorities, and everything that we focus on becomes in line with his will. As I stated earlier, I can't in no way try to convince anybody here that I'm the authority on this conversation. There's only but one authority. And although all these challenges that we face in our community and all the things that we're dealing with today, if we keep in mind today above any other day, there's only but one authority, then my hope is that I live in a way that it pleases that authority, then I will recognize that my strength comes from that sovereign. And when I recognize and accept that my strength comes from that sovereign, then I can do the work. Then I can do the work. So when you think about that first letter is seek, and we start to seek out, for me, it started with a beat meeting. I was concerned about the community, and I walked into a beat meeting one day. And again, I want you to understand what is your strength? Your strength is getting up and going. It's already been said. You just have to go. I walked into a beat meeting one day, and I began to just sit there and listen. And then I said I wanted to be a part of this, so I tried to set up a meeting with the CAPS officer. He invited me to the district, and I went in there, and I got into that meeting with him. And actually, what happened was he invited me to the space, but then he got called downtown to do something else. And let me show you how God worked things out. A gentleman walked in a room that I had known since high school and played high school football with. Neither one of us knew we were going to have that divine encounter that day. See, we sometimes miss divine appointments because we're seeking the wrong thing. When you seek to be connected, everything will work out according to his plan. So for me, it started with a beat meeting. For me, it just started walking into rooms and into spaces that made sense that I knew things were going on and I wanted to be a part of it. The next thing you have to do after you begin to seek and look for opportunities to see where you fit in order to identify your strength, you have to trust the process. Look at this letter T, trust. Trust the process. God is trying to prepare us to do a great work. But if we don't trust the process, you won't be where you're supposed to be. And it goes back to the point of many times, if we don't have all of the information and know all of the details, we begin to fail even before we get out of the door. I remember, my daughter was in track, our oldest girl, and she lined up with me and we're going to race in the park. And that probably was the biggest mistake I made, right? She had these long legs and she was young and full of energy. And here I am, starting to get on the other side of young. And I realized at that moment that I couldn't trust my body to make it. Now, I'm going to tell y'all, I did something that was totally out of pocket. Soon as we said, get ready, get set, go, I pushed her down and I ran. She got up upset and crying and was disappointed. And I turned to her, I said, if you had only trusted yourself and trusted the process, you could have got up and still beat me to the finish line because you have that much ability through what God has given you. Listen, I just want to say to everybody here, you have to realize that the process that he put you in, he's going to give you everything you need. Trust the process. The next thing I want to share with you all is the aura of this word, right? The aura of this word, and it's called relationship. Doing the work will reveal the space that you need to be in, right? As we look at this word relationship, and the aura, it tells us doing the work reveals the space that you belong in and who you need to connect with. That's what relationship does. So as we begin to walk through these experiences and we begin to talk through these certain things, I want to take this opportunity and share with you what relationship really looks like. I brought along a couple of friends to share with you how that looks in real time, from the time we get started in this work and how we go along the process and how things work out. So at this time, I want to introduce who I can almost say has become a friend, right? It's become a friend because of relationship and time. I met this gentleman back in January of 2020. I want to bring to you at this point Commander Gutierrez of the 25th District Faith-Based Subcommittee is where I serve, but he's the commander of the 25th District. And I want to share or give him the opportunity to share with you what relationship looks like. Commander.
Good morning, all. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Thank you to the panel. Thank you, Pastor Mac. So December 20, 2019, I was promoted to be the commander of the 25th District. January 20, 2020, Martin Luther King Day, we had to meet the commander in the 25th District. So I had the opportunity to meet Pastor Mac that night. As soon as we made contact, we hit it off right away. So what we are trying to accomplish together is to bring the community together by working as a team in order to bring the violence down in the district, gaining the community's trust by doing things for the community together, utilizing the CAPS office, the DCOs. Together, we have brought our outreach partners, Institute of Nonviolence, BUILD, Chicago CRED, also other faith-based leaders working collaborative to share ideas and information in order to reach our goals, which is to get these young people off the streets, not committing any crimes, and giving them other options. Pastor Mac and I have a professional relationship that has grown into a personal relationship. I consider Pastor Mac a spiritual mentor, a person that cares for the community, a person that loves mankind, and he loves the community that he serves. So God puts people in places God put Pastor Mac in the 25th district. I believe God put me there as well, so we could make a difference. I mean, I grew up in the 25th district, so I have a lot of stake in the district, and I care for what happens in the district and what happens to the community. So I just want to thank you.
Thank you so much, Commander. I appreciate you sharing and sharing your heart. And that's what it's about. That's what it's about, family. Thank you so much, Commander. And as we continue on, that's not the only relationship that has been built. And as I work with Commander and we did different things and we served side by side, I wanted you all to see this in action. I want you to understand and feel it in an application aspect. Well, that's how you can connect or understand and identify your strength as it pertains that when you're dealing with law enforcement. But then you meet people from organizations. And trust me when I tell you this, you won't meet none of these people if you're sitting at home. There's a thing called Bedrock Baptist, and I know many of us know it. And there's also a place called your couch, which is your ministry. But if you really want to affect change, you got to get up and go. We've heard that already. So I ran into this young man out there in the field, right? And we, again, relationship turned into something else. I'm going to bring to you all and join me on the screen now, Reverend Craig Nash of Chicago. Craig, and I want him to just share with you all about how that relationship lens looked from his point of view as it pertains to a resource organization that became so much more.
Thank you so much, Pastor Mac. I thank God for relationships, and I thank God for you, Pastor Mac, and everybody that's taking part today. But God is just amazing with how he brings us together. That there was a situation that happened on the West Side, and Arnie Duncan, the head of Chicago Cred, said to me and said to others on our team, who do we know, who can we reach out to? So talked to a member of our team, Jalen Arthur, who you'll hear from in next month. And Jalen said, well, let me talk to IMVC. And IMVC, we reached out to IMVC. IMVC said, well, Pastor Mac and Pastor Epstein, nobody is doing it like they do it. So I said, well, I got to go out and meet them. So I called them and they told me what they were doing. And I just showed up. Now, that's something I learned a long time ago when I was in Young Life Ministry, that you just got to show up. And it's about relationships. You got to show up. And Pastor Mac, I thank God for you, that what you just said about you got to get up. You got to get up and go. And if you don't get up and go, how are you going to meet somebody new? How are you going to meet who God is intending to be in your circle for you to move to that next level? Pastor Epstein said it in that powerful word too. That God is going to put some things in order and some things in place, and you just got to be ready to just move, and you got to be ready to commit yourself to care and to comply. And I was just trying to comply by going out and meeting Pastor Mac, and then from meeting him, and I just, man, that's my brother, and Pastor Epstein, my brother, and then all the folks on the call. But wait, it didn't stop there. Because then they said, well, you know what? Because Chicago Cred, we were trying to organize faith-based initiative. And as we did that, we wanted to organize and convene everybody. Well, we had trouble doing that because I know a couple of people here and there, but Pastor Mac and Pastor Epstein said, hey, how about Together Chicago coming to your convening? And from that, I meet Nate, I meet Michael, and then everybody else. And then we all started to come together. Look at relationships. Look at what God did, that you think you know a lot of people, but God got some more people for you to connect to, for you to build relationships, for you to labor with shoulder to shoulder for this harvest. And Pastor Epstein said again that, and I said kind of old school way, that the vineyard is plenteous, but the laborers are few. That we got to roll up our sleeves and work together, and we do that in relationships. So thank you for this opportunity, Pastor Mac, to share what relationships mean to me.
Thank you, Craig. I appreciate you and both Commander for sharing. I just want both of them to know that, the $200 gift card is for all of us. And I wasn't intending to pay y'all for y'all to be talking nice about me and stuff, because they really, really know me. And I'm not all that great. But I thank God that they were nice to me in front of you all. But then when we get behind the scenes, they're gonna treat me like the little brother I am and try to beat me up and all that stuff. So I'm gonna need y'all to come to the next meeting so that I can be safe. So I can be safe. All right. So let's talk about how that those experiences, you know, builds into our strength and what that really means. When we talk about experiences, I again want to thank Commander G and Craig, and I just want to thank both of you all for sharing, because I believe relationship is very key to building up now our experiences. See, your life experiences are your strength. When you ask yourself, what is my strength? Your life experiences are those. Those are the things that build you up. Those moments of challenge and or success will be the foundation of you identifying your strength. Your experiences, those moments of those challenges and those successes, those are the foundations of you identifying what your strengths are, i.e., food giveaway, right? Community things that you do. You realize through those incidents or those events, right? You start to realize I got a knack for talking to people, because you got up and go and you allowed your experiences to nurture, and you start to get out there and do things. You start understanding where your gifts rest and where you are and how your strengths are being developed, right? So when you realize that, you realize, hey, not only do I like talking to people, I might not be a people person, but I like to organize. I'll get behind and I'll draw out the maps and I'll lift the boxes, but I don't know if I really like to talk to people. Again, identifying your strength comes through your experiences. I think this next point, the end, right? The end is the need. Above all, as you seek out people, as you go through the trust factor, as you build the relationship, as you live off your experiences, you find yourself falling into this word that's interesting called need. Above all, when you seek out people, recognize that you need each other. You need each other. You're not greater than them, and they are not greater than you. You need each other. Our success, if I can say, if I haven't said anything that resonated with anyone today as it pertains to come to a thought about what is your strength or what is our strength, then I need us to recognize that our success rests on the need of one another. It lays right there and it sticks there. So as we think about that and we begin to look down and we get deeper down into the word, somebody may say, well, okay, I understand. I'm getting my strengths and I'm starting to, formulate these thoughts, but I don't have any gifts. I don't know what my gifts are. Let's look at this letter word, or this letter G for gift. All of us have spiritual gifts. God has endowed each and every one of us with a spiritual gift that is either open or need to be unpacked. When you get a gift, right, you don't get the benefit of the gift until you open it. You can even know what's in it. So you get something for your birthday, or you get a gift, or somebody give you something. You can say, I'm excited about the gift, but until you unpack it, until you open it and look inside of it and begin to handle what's on the inside, you don't get the full benefit of the gift. They laugh at me a lot because I take my time opening our gifts. When I get a gift, I take my time pulling off every little strip of paper. I open the package slowly, and it irritates the house. They even reach over sometimes and grab my gift and try to rip the paper off. Let me analogize right there. You can't exercise my gift. You have to use your own gift in order to be strong in the work that we're doing. If what I do is not your gift, trust me, unpacking my gift is not going to do you any good. You have to unpack your own gift, right? You have to do it yourself. Many times your gifting is revealed while you're doing the work in the field. That's when your gift is really revealed. Don't be discouraged if you don't quite know what your gifts are or what your strengths are at this very moment. That's why we are here, so that we can improve and encourage everyone, so that we can inspire everyone to recognize that you don't have to know everything in order for you to do what you got to do. Remember, it's not about your ability, it's about your availability. See, and I don't want that to be contradictory, because meaning that once I understand my gifts and I unpack my gifts, it's not so much about my ability and what I can do, it's about my availability. If you are available, y'all already heard this before, your gift to make room for you. If you are available, your gifts will make room for you. Let's look at the last two letters of this word, T, team spirit, right? Team spirit. Be intentional about learning, family, and knowing your team. The Bible instructs us in 1 Thessalonians 5:12 is to know those who you labor among. Know them. Know those who you labor among. Understand who you are around. Get to know those who you labor with and among. Here's just a few thoughts to think about. When you recognize them for what they are. Now, I need to say this very specifically. Some people are willing to talk to certain people, but they won't talk to everybody. Some people are willing to talk to a senior, but they won't go talk to the guy who is labeled as the gangbanger or the neighborhood drug dealer. Some people will go and talk to the people who are dressed nicely and clean, but they won't go talk to somebody who might not be as approachable because maybe they don't have the same benefits and things that you possess. I used to say I'm an equal opportunity hugger. I put my arms around anybody and everybody. That's the only one thing that I don't like about COVID right now, that I can't go out and hug people. I hug people everywhere I go. I put my arms around people. I don't care how you dress, how you look, what your situation is. I put my arms around people, and I'm telling you, I can't wait to get back out to doing that. Get to know those who you labor among, recognize them for what they are, acknowledge them, appreciate them, and respect all of them. Those are ways that we understand and identify our strength. Let's look at this last letter, humility. Humility. Be humble in all things, in your approaches, in your conversations, and everything that you do. Let me leave you with this little bit of an analogy. Many of us are familiar with cement. And in order for it to be concrete, it must be mixed with sand and water. If bags of cement in a store are never stirred in with water, the cement would never become concrete. Water and sand must be married if you want to get something that is cementable. You got to marry the two. In order for God to make your life concrete and make our work concrete, you're going to have to learn to mix it up with other folk. That's where you find your strength. You're going to have to take a little faith, mix it in with a little work, and then watch God lay some concrete in our lives. So let's apply all these thoughts, right? Let's seek and let's trust and let's build relationship and let's live off our experiences and let's make sure that we recognize we need everyone and unpack our gifting and have a team spirit and be humble. Now at this time, I think it'd be really appropriate, right, that we might can lay out this foundation together, right? So that we can mix it up a little bit, right? That we can learn some principles in real time. So I believe at this time, we're gonna turn it over to you, Craig, so that you can share with us how we can mix it up. Thank y'all for the opportunity. I love you and be encouraged.